January 27th, and I am at my 39-week appointment. They told me to undress from the waist down, so she's gonna be checking if I'm more dilated, crossing my fingers. So I'm out of the appointment and I am still 0 dilated. I'm not dilated yet. 39 weeks, so I have my appointment for next week, 40 weeks, and I guess we'll go from there. She said she would let me go up until 41 weeks and see what happens, but I'm just gonna continue doing all the walking, actually do all the walking and see if that helps. And I'm trying just to stay positive. You know, things change from one second to the next, so I'm just trying to relax and not like think that nothing is happening because I'm at a 0, you know. So yeah, that's the update for 39 weeks. And right now I just got to the nail salon. I'm gonna get my manicure and my pedicure because why not? My boyfriend thinks I'm getting a pedicure because I told him that people say getting pedicures put you into labor, but I'm kidding, and I doubt getting my pedicure is going to put me into labor. And if it does, like, what kind of shit is that? I'm at a 0, get a pedicure, and then I'm in labor. But anyway, that's what I'm. Just got back from a little walk. I took Chevy with me for, I took him for 1 lap, and he got extremely tired this time. But I did about 30 minutes, and I try and walk as fast as I can, but I start cramping. Not like contraction cramps, but I start cramping like on my sides. So that's when I have to take a break. So I walked like 30 minutes and now I'm back home. So story time on how we ended up in the hospital at, I think it was like 40 weeks and 3 days. It was Saturday, and my parents came over, like, let's just go to the flea market, that way you're walking around and see if it helps you, you know, go into labor. So we went, and then I was fine the whole time, but towards the end I was walking and I felt like, I sort of felt like I was like sort of peeing myself. Not like a whole pee, but like I was sort of peeing myself. And I'm like, oh shit. So I didn't think anything of it, and then it kept going. So then I went to the bathroom, and it was just like clear liquid. And I got a little freaked out because I'm like, okay, it's like clear liquid. It feels like I'm peeing. Like, is this my water breaking? And I told my sister, I have something coming out. I don't know if this is my water breaking. But, you know, we kept walking, and then it happened again. So I'm like, no, this is suspicious. Like, what if this is my water breaking? So I went back to the bathroom, just wiped myself, and then we left. And we were walking to the parking lot, and I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm like leaking something, and it's probably my water breaking. Like, I don't know if it's my water breaking. And immediately, like, I just like freaked me out, and my mom looked at me and I looked at her, and then my sisters were there, and we all just sort of started crying together because it was like such like a sentimental moment. And then everyone, like my mom and my sisters, all happened to be there with me, so like we just felt like, oh my god, like, is this really happening right now? So we came home, and they still stopped to get some carne asada to grill. We have a nurse that comes and sees the baby now, so I text her and I'm like, you know what, like, I was walking around and I had this clear liquid coming out. I don't know if it's my water that broke, or what do I do? And she called me and she's like, oh no, you should immediately go into the hospital. It's better to get checked and, you know, make sure if it is or if it's not. So I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, do I have to? And she's like, why? What's the matter? Like, what's wrong? And I'm like, well, I'm scared that if I go, they're gonna tell me to stay, like that it's my water breaking. And she's like, well, isn't that what we want? And I'm like, well, yeah, it is, but like I wasn't ready, you know, like it was scary just out of nowhere if it was me going into labor. So long story short, we still ate the carne asada. We still chilled. I actually texted my boyfriend while we were at the pulga. I was like, babe, like I'm freaking leaking. I don't know if it's my water. And he didn't believe me. He said that if it was for real, I would have called him crying, but I was for real. And so anyway, it's the end of the night and my parents are debating whether to stay or leave in case it is me going to the hospital. But they ended up leaving, and then we ended up going into the hospital like at 11, huh? It was already like 11.
I know, huh?
It was, I think it was pretty like 11. It was pretty late by that point. I spoke to a nurse like at 7, and then we ended up leaving till like 11. And it just felt so real. Like I told them, let's just take all our bags, like the hospital bags, take everything in case they do keep us. And at that moment I realized like I am not ready. Like I am freaking not ready if this is really me going into labor. But we took our bags, left to the hospital. We got there through I think through the emergency, and no, not the emergency, it was a different, like the front entrance, the lobby, and we were literally the only ones there, which was good. They checked me in, and then they told him to wait in the lobby. They would only let him in if it really was me going into labor, and they were gonna keep me. So I went in, and the nurse told me to change, to undress, and she checked me. She swabbed me. Was gonna test that to see if it was like the amniotic fluid or not. And I was there probably like almost 2 hours for the whole period, and I was in there by myself. She comes back and she tells me that it is not amniotic fluid, so that means my water did not break and I was fine. But she did check for dilation also, and at that point I was like 1.5 centimeters. When the prior 2 doctor visits, both times I was at 0 and 0, and by this time I was already at 1.5, so at least I progressed. And basically I changed and we came back home, and we got home a little bit relieved because I wasn't ready to go into labor, but a little bit like sad because we just went and came back home like at 2 a.m. with our hospital bags again. And these pictures are pictures of my stomach and my arms and my legs when I got like a bunch of rashes on them, and it's called a Puppp rash, P-U-P-P-P, Puppp rash. And basically 1 in 150 pregnancies get it. 1 in 150, and I was the freaking one that got it. And basically it's just you get like a rash all over your stretch marks, and my stretch marks had just came out probably like in the last 2 weeks of me being pregnant is when I got the stretch marks on my stomach. And then I happened to get this freaking rash that lasted, I think it lasted only like a week, but it was super itchy. I felt like I had it forever.